Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido, and we are sitting down today with our friends Linda and Jamie from the YouTube channel Roaming with Rosie. And we wanted to take a few minutes to just sit around today and discuss a few aspects of different types of RV life and gain the perspective of Linda and Jamie. So welcome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It has been fun. We first met up with these folks. We've known them electronically for a number of years. And we first hooked up with you folks down in Quartzsite last year.
Yep.
Right.
In January.
Right. Q21.
Yes. And we're ready for Q22 this year. Wanted to talk a little bit, what you folks are doing is a little bit unique. It's kind of full timing, but kind of not. Keeping a home base. Tell us a little bit about what exactly your plans are that you're implementing right now.
Well, we want to keep a home base because the fact that we are over the hill plus 10, if 50's over the hill, we're 60. And I've worked with seniors my entire career, and they've given us two pieces of advice. If you have a dream, make it happen. Don't put it off. Don't wait. And the second thing is, if you have the means of keeping a home base, then they recommend that. And that kind of made it, as long as we were thinking we were going to have to sell the house, it kept me in panic mode. And then luckily we're able to keep the house, probably short-term rent it out, not Airbnb, but more like medical, nurses and travelers and stuff like that. And then if something should happen, that does give us a place to come back to.
Right. If we had, say we had a serious illness that kind of took us off the road, we just felt we'd be more comfortable in the house as opposed to having to spend the time in the motorhome. So, you know, if you had a major illness, I wouldn't want to spend it in the motorhome. Not to say that you can't be comfortable in the motorhome. It's just, you know, especially with our house, it's a smaller house, but we have a man-made lake behind us, and it's a lot of, you know, it's a real comfortable, nice place to be. So
it already was our retirement home.
Yeah, it was. So. We had downscaled from. We went from a 4,200 square foot house down to a 1,560 square foot house, anticipating, hey, we want to downscale and kind of travel and stuff, and that's what kind of prompted that. But
so your idea was to kind of keep that house as a safety net, so to speak.
Exactly. Safety and net. The other thing that kind of chimed in is, when COVID hit, there was a lot of full-timers that were out there saying, hey, we can't get campsites, we can't even get in anywhere because they're locking everything down. And that kind of reassured us that, hey, maybe we're on the right path here, because if something should happen again and we needed to go to a home base, we'd be able to travel back home and wouldn't have any issues about, you know, having some place to stay if we didn't have that home base. So
Understood. Interesting, because a lot of folks, you know, they rely upon selling that house to make the financials come together.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think because we are able to. The investments were really good this past year. COVID was bad. So we were able to kind of rethink that and get the house paid off and just basically have that option. I kind of think there's two different types. It's like, okay, if selling everything is the way to make your dream happen, then that's exactly what I think most people are doing. If you don't have to sell everything to make that dream happen, then that's an option as well. And we don't even know if we're gonna like being on the road full time. We could end up hating each other. So just that safety net, exactly. For a lot of reasons.
On that note, you know, we've actually said that before in a video where, you know, we've traveled in the RV, but not long term. You know, like I think our longest stint was like
to a month.
It was a month, and we did okay. It worked out well.
I didn't want to come home. No,
but the thing is I've had my career and Linda's had her career, and you know, like most people, you know, working class Americans is, you know, you go off to your job, you're gone for 40 hours a week. You know, and I have my personal time, she has her personal time, and we're not together 24/7. So this is a huge change, you know, and we've been together for 30 some odd years, almost 40 years, and yeah, we've been together all that time, but it's never been 24/7.
Nor has it been in just a couple of 100 square feet either.
Right.
Correct. You're talking about a small space, and and you can be the tightest couple on the planet and still, get into each other's hair time after time because of one, wake up in a bad mood, but also just it's too small. I need some space. So
this is kind of full-time RVing with an asterisk.
Yeah, kind of like you said earlier, kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, or just having that safety net that's there to come back to, and the past 2 years have been strange for all of us, and but it also gave you the opportunity to think through the what ifs. So I think that's our what if. We feel much more comfortable this way.
Yeah, it's almost I use the analogy. It's almost like a cruise ship. You're going to dock. You get all your stuff put together and you kind of recharge and rethink everything, and then you take off onto a different venture to see where you want to go and what you want to explore and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, what has been the biggest impediment in your transition to this new full-time RV life? What has been the biggest impediment you've encountered?
I think there's been a few. Obviously, COVID wasn't as much of a impediment as a time to regroup and think about it. But the other issue is and we talk about this a lot in our videos, we are all about paying cash for everything. So if it takes a little longer, then that's what it's going to be while we get all this equipment to make that travel easier and to not have as many obstacles. Not that always works.
Right.
Something breaks every day, and I knew that going into this. But I think it gave us time to think about and pay for all those things. And then I've had some serious possible health issues, and I'm still wanted to stay with my same insurance while I'm still at my job. And then I also now decided, and we didn't plan to, realize I'll be having to use a Cobra because I still have a few more checkups through this year to get through. And so we've got insurance worked out, but I'm going to stay with the Cobra through the end of the year.
Right.
So those were the hurdles. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm getting booted off. I'm going to ACA. So
he's getting cheaper insurance.
Understood. Well, you gotta play all the numbers and figure out how everything works out for you and do things to your best advantage.
Yeah.
We've always kind of, there's a lot of people that just say, hey, just take the leap and do it. And, we've done that and have paid the consequences. There's been times that's been successful and other times it hasn't. But we kind of looked at it as like, at our age, we don't have that recovery period because we're in our 60s. We got to make smart, educated decisions along the way so that we don't end up, in a financial mess down the road. So just kind of do that way. So.
Well, it definitely sounds like you've done your planning and done your homework, and I know you two are big planners.
I was going to say, you noted that.
Especially Linda. Linda's more of a planner than I am, but we both plan, but she'll plan to the umpteenth.
This is the first trip that we've actually had all of our tow stuff set up. So our last trip where we headed out to northern New Mexico, we had the towed all connected and something didn't work. Okay, Linda's driving again. This is the first time I get to actually ride in the motorhome, literally the first time. And I've got my notepad and I've got the internet and I can plan. So.
That was the perfect segue to the next question I had, which is, what are you traveling in?
We have a 2006 Alpha Sia. It's 40 foot. It's a diesel pusher. That's our second rig. Initially, we had a 2001 Holiday Rambler.
Rosie.
That's where Rosie's name came from. How that all came about was we were sitting there trying to name the rig, going, "What should we name it?" And I said, for some reason, I thought of it being our it's kind of like a land sled or a boat, and me being a movie guy, I'm like Citizen Kane, Rosebud.
Well, and the color of the RV was Crown Rose.
And the color of the RV, because when I looked it up, it's called Crown Jewel Rose is what it's called. So I said, let's call it Rosebud. And she goes, well, I don't like Rosebud. Let's call it Rosie. So that's where Rosie came from.
And why did you get rid of the Holiday Rambler and move to the Alpha?
Yeah.
When we did our trip to Utah, when we went to Moab and Price and all that, there was a few grades that were pretty steep, like 8% grades. And without towing, we were having a little bit of difficulty getting up some of those hills where it would get down to like 15 miles per hour. So I realized...
Was the Holiday Rambler a gas?
No, it was diesel as well. It was a 36-foot coach, but it only had a 300 horsepower Cummins diesel. And with that torque and all that, it just wasn't enough. We probably could have hooked up a tow to it, but we would have been creeping up the hills.
And we even looked into replacing that motor, and because I love that RV. You know, we were silly enough to name our channel after your RV, thinking that would be our RV forever. Now we got to just make that work. But I really did love it, especially after all the renovations that we did in it. It was the one we wanted to call our home. And so it took him a little while to convince me that we couldn't just spend $20,000 to replace the motor.
Now, why did you decide on a motorhome as opposed to a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, a van, what have you? What made that decision?
Initially, we started out. I was wanting to get a big fifth wheel, and then a diesel truck to pull it. We started going looking at fifth wheels and stuff like that. We almost walked into a really great deal on a Grand Design that was like 38 foot. But then we said, hold off. I mean, we almost actually put money down. We said, hold off. This is a quick decision. We need to go back and regroup and make sure 100%.
Which is most RV salesmen's goal, is to make a quick decision.
I mean, that's like car sales or anything. Yeah. he had us hook, line, and sinker. But then what we did is we went back and said, hey, wait a minute. And this was a 1-year-old Grand Design, and it was like 55 grand. Then we're looking at a truck to tow that, which if you get a used one, you're looking at 40 to 50 grand. So that's $100,000. And we're going, wait a minute, we don't even know if we're going to like this yet.
Well, and we had a number. I mean, our budget was $50,000 all in.
Right.
So that was all in on our current coach as well, not including all the things we have had to keep really buying to add on to that, which adds a lot. Again, the pay as you go.
Right.
Everybody thinks that, you buy your RV, you're done, and
no.
No, it's another $10,000 to $20,000 of stuff that you need to make it work. And then the other reason was I kind of came up with, again, the safe and secure choice. As we watch other YouTubers and we watch them have breakdowns and we watch them be stranded and stuff because of other reasons, I decided I would be much more comfortable having two vehicles that each had a motor, like two motorized vehicles, so that if one broke down, the other one would offer us the ability to get away from wherever we were stuck at the moment. How many places are we at where you have no cell signal? All kinds of things like that. So we could change, though.
Right. Right. We're always open to change.
I love yours. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've been really happy with that Durango. Now, how do you have it set up for boondocking or dry camping?
Almost.
Yeah. What we did is we did 2 Victron charge controllers, the 3,000 watt.
The multi-plus?
Multi-pluses, yeah. We did those. We got 4 Lion Energy lithium batteries. We have that whole setup done. And then right now we're charging everything with the generator. We've already purchased solar panels and the charge controller and all that kind of stuff. We were supposed to meet with a friend up in Idaho, which that didn't happen, so we didn't do the install yet. And being that we're in Phoenix and it's 110, it's like
it's been 120.
Nothing's going to happen to this stuff. We'll just keep it in the garage so it's safe and in the boxes and all that kind of stuff. When temperature goes back down, I'm going to proceed with installing that. So. And
that's actually something we didn't touch on in the beginning, is your home base is in the Phoenix area.
Correct. Yeah. We're like a suburb of Phoenix. It's called the East Valley. So
yeah, and the actually we were going to head up to Idaho to do the install of the solar. We were going to meet with Aaron Jones from Jones Into Travel, and it actually started being hotter in North Utah and Idaho than it was in Phoenix. So, yeah.
That has screwed with our season so
Yeah.
badly this
Yeah.
year. We went north figuring we were safe from the heat. And so we didn't get to boondock as much as we normally do because it was in the mid-90s during the day.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's why we just decided that we would, and we ended up going to northern New Mexico just to get away from all of the heat in the west for a while. Now we're here in southern New Mexico, and it's still cooler
Right.
than anywhere else we've been.
Sure. So tell us about your YouTube channel, Roaming with Rosie.
Go ahead.
So it's
First of all, who's the brains behind the channel?
who's the one that wanted to do it the most? Tim.
Me. I'm the one. I approached her probably 5 years ago.
I thought he was out of his mind with
Actually-
this idea.
Actually wanting to, do the full-time thing. Like, we can get a rig and we can go travel, and there's such a thing as called work camping if we need to still work and all that kind of stuff. And she thought I was kind of a crackpot. Like, what are you talking about?
You are.
I am, but I watch all these videos. I watch YouTube a lot, and she used to ask me, "Where are you getting all this information?" I'm like, "YouTube," and she goes, "Oh, no one knows what they're talking about on YouTube." I'm like, "Well, okay,
There's some truth to that.
but there's a lot of people who have a lot of good information." So it was kind of my idea. Then what ended up happening was she had a volunteer who actually had done this, where she traveled full-time in an RV and was actually talking with Linda. And Linda comes home with Work Camper News and says, "Have you ever heard of this?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what I was talking to you about. Like 5 years ago, we could have been doing this." So, and when I first started out, I saw Eric from Pneumatic Fanatic and Keep Your Daydream, and I've watched you from the beginning, and kind of thought, that's something I really would enjoy doing, and then she worked in video production for the city of Beverly Hills, so she knows a lot of the, and she did a lot of, not only did she do filming and editing, but she also did, fact-finding and generating a story and making things interesting. So as far as I'm good, I can go and get information and a lot of technical information and stuff like that, and I have no problem. I like looking up history and stuff like that, but she's good at really kind of putting a story together where it makes sense and it seems like something that people would enjoy, as opposed to just throwing out facts and stuff. So
Understood.
And I think that, our intention with the channel, like we said, we really like to watch your channel, and a little bit of a copycat maybe, but it's more like that's what we want to do. And for those people that are contemplating doing a YouTube channel, that is something you kind of have to decide, because it takes longer to grow your channel if it isn't just one specific way. So we have the RV tips, the RV maintenance. He can learn in 2 seconds how to fix anything. So we have all that because that's what's going on in our life. And if we're on the road and we see cool things, and I find all kinds of cool history, like here in this town, Billy the Kid.
It's true.
So there's so much history and everything. And so we also have that. And once I leave my job, which has been another hurdle only because I've been in my career for 30 years, and being the safe, secure person, so hard to walk away from that. I love my job. It's hard to walk away from that, but documenting what we do and getting on the road, and I just think that's kind of more what the channel is. I don't know, you watch our channel.
I do, and I think you folks do an absolutely terrific job. If you haven't checked out Roaming with Rosie, we'll put a link right here on the screen. That way you can just click on through and go check out their channel.
Thank you. It's been so fun hanging with you guys, too.
It's been fabulous hanging with you guys. Now, in your travels thus far, do you have a favorite destination? I know that's a question we get a lot, and I have a really hard time answering. But do you folks have a favorite destination that you've come across?
I have a good answer to that for you, though. I think for you guys, your favorite destination is the next destination, right?
That is a terrific answer. That is a terrific answer.
So we want to travel very much the opposite, you guys, have it all planned out where you're going next, or at least it seems like it. You sent me email that looked like you knew what you're doing.
That's because I got frustrated of winging it.
So we're still in the winging it mode, and I think that's where we just really want to spend a lot of time in each place and get to know each place. So hopefully that's what we can do. So our favorite is probably wherever we are right now. Everywhere I go, I want to live.
That's your answer.
I want to live every single place we go to.
There's a specific region that I just, in this country that I love the most. And that's probably Utah being one of my favorites because of all the, Capitol Reef and Moab and all those places. For some reason, those places just do it for me. I enjoy mountains and I enjoy beaches and everything, but my favorite is kind of that area.
Kind of the Red Rock Desert kind of thing?
Red Rock Desert. If there's Red Rock anywhere, I'll go there and I'm a happy guy. That's my Disneyland or whatever you want to call it. But I also enjoy going and seeing, all kinds of other stuff. I enjoy traveling. So I used to go to my aunt and uncles in Florida who had a ranch, and we'd travel back across the United States. And I've seen every state except for Alaska and Hawaii as a young, teenager, and now we're going to do it as adults. And I still want to go and do all that, but anytime I have to go back up and spend time in Moab, and we've been to Moab twice, and we spent I think it was 14 days there last time. I'm like, we've just barely scratched the surface on this place.
Well, that's the beauty of it is, you talked about how you saw most of the country as a teenager,
right.
But now at this point in our lives, we can take the time to really absorb it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was doing it as a teenager, mind you, we weren't traveling and seeing those places as vacationers. Yeah. We would see stuff along the way because my uncle was the type of guy who would, he drove from Florida to California in 3 days. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge battle between him and my aunt. She said, I want to see stuff. So,
that sounds familiar.
Traveling before, traveling after that slowed up a little bit, but not a lot, where you would spend a little bit amount of time kind of learning the area and exploring a little bit. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to, if we want to go somewhere and we've spent a week and say, okay, I think I got it, and then we may leave. If we see somewhere that we really enjoy and we say, hey, there's a lot more we want to check out, then we may stay a month. Who knows?
Now you said you rather than planning it, you'd rather wing it. 2021 has been a tough year for many RV travelers, and in fact, I heard the term revenge travel, and I thought that was a perfect term. Mm-hmm. Because after being locked up, there are so many people who want to get out right now. Right. Have you encountered any difficulty getting a spot, or whether it's boondocking or whether it's in a campground? Have you had any trouble getting a spot in the year 2021?
Not really. I mean, a little bit. We enjoyed doing KOAs, mm-hmm. and those are a little bit hard because I think everybody knows that, and that's their first go-to. Mm-hmm. But so far, not so much. But 2021, I went back to work, and we haven't been able to travel as much as we want. So we're probably not good people to ask that. But one thing that I think, in our experience, what's happened with COVID is that it used to be a lot of RV parks just would not let you cancel without paying a lot. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like they're being more lenient, and if they're not being lenient, just say, I might have COVID. Oh, okay, we'll cancel your reservation.
Yeah, you have the bad disease. We don't want you here. So.
Well, we've really enjoyed sitting down with the two of you. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with our grand adventurers. Again, we'll put a link right on the screen and down below in the video description. If you'd like to check out Roaming with Rosie, we really encourage you to do so. Linda and Jamie, you're heading off now for Las Cruces, and we wish you safe travels.
Thank you so much. Same to you guys.
Also.
Thank you very much. If you're not yet a grand adventurer, this is the perfect time to go smash that little red subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and ring that notification bell to be sure that you come along on each and every grand adventure each and every Wednesday evening. We're going to be heading off to Ruidoso, New Mexico, so make sure that you come along with us. If you like this video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. That's extremely important to us. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comment section, where we always love to hear from you. So until next week, please remember,
life is nothing but a grand adventure.
We'll see you soon.